Okay, I know what you're thinking. Why are you starting an FM series with 2 months left to go? But I think we can make this work. Yeah, so we're going to do the San Marino challenge for the last couple of months that FM24's out. Challenge I've always really played. I think I've played this one every single year since the database started kicking about. It's a country I really like, to be honest. I'm actually planning on visiting in a few months, October I think, so that'll be good. But yeah, I just fancy taking on the challenge. Usually what you would do for this one, if you're not familiar with it, is you would try and take the lowest ranked nation, which is San Marino, up the national rankings, try and improve the player pool, youth recruitment, all that kind of stuff as well. Normally you would probably do it with the national team and either a team from San Marino if you have the database, or a team, the team that plays in the Italian leagues, which is Victor San Marino. In this one, I think to speed it up a wee bit, what we'll do is we'll go with two teams. So we'll go one from San Marino, and one from the Italian league, just to try and attack it from both angles, and we'll also do the national team as well. The teams we'll be using for the save, we'll do San Marino Academy, which is a new team in the league who commit to using under 22 players at all times. So the database actually doesn't let you sign anybody who is over the age of 22. We'll try and sign San Marino's players when we can, but it's not always going to be possible to make the team good. But where we can get decent ones in, we'll try and get them in as much as possible. We will also be pushing on with Victor San Marino from the Italian league. Obviously, if we can build both of them up, we can then get good youth recruitment, good youth production, and produce better San Marino players, basically. We'll take the national team as well, and we'll just kind of outline some of the challenges that we'll have for each of them as well. So challenges for the teams, the domestic teams, is pretty straightforward. We just want to try and get both teams to professional status. We want to get the youth recruitment and the youth facilities up as high as possible, and just producing a good standard of San Marino's players, basically. The San Marino team, we want to get them into the European group stages. So no San Marino team has done that before, so probably the Conference League or something like that will be the easiest way to do that. And for Victor San Marino, we want to get them promoted up to the Serie A, and obviously, like, same again, just get a great youth facilities, great youth recruitment, and try and produce those excellent San Marino players. For the national team, we'll try and get them pretty much the first win. They've never had a win. It's only been a draw against Liechtenstein's been the best result. Well, I should say a competitive win. So that'll be first on the agenda. We'll also try and get a player to beat Andy Silva's record of 8 goals. I'm not sure if that's actually been done yet, because that's quite an old record, but we're going to try and get someone to beat that. We're also going to try and get them into a Euros or a World Cup group stage at some point. Obviously, that's going to be down the line, because we're going to need the really good quality players to come through to make that a possibility, to be honest with you. What we've done in this save is we've actually created 3 managers. Obviously, the reason why I created 3 managers is because if you do the Italian team and the national team, some of the fixtures fall on the same day because they don't have the same breaks. Until you get to the higher leagues in Italy, you don't have the international breaks really. So we've got Roberto Civoli, who is the San Marino manager in real life. We've just used that profile for that. We've added Massimo Bonini, who is a San Marinese legend. He is also a legend for San Marino Academy, Juventus. So we've used him as a manager for San Marino Academy, and I've added myself in as a Victor San Marino manager as well. What we'll probably do with the save is we'll probably, when we're doing game updates, the San Marinese League gets quite easy as you get your team improved. So we'll probably not cover too much of it in more the European games, because you at one point you just end up scudding all the teams and there's not really any kind of challenge in it. We'll kind of focus more on the Victor games and the European games, and we'll just do some regular checkups on how San Marino Academy are doing as well. So we'll swap over to the game now, and we can just kind of go through how the teams are looking at the start as you load the game up. I will say big props to FM Fusion. The guys over there do a brilliant job every year of the Italian lower leagues and the San Marino league. And they do it literally every single year without fail. It might take them a wee bit of time, but that's because the attention to detail is crazy on it. Honestly, these guys do a brilliant job. I'll link it in the description just in case anybody fancies taking on the challenge themselves. So yeah, we'll just get over to the teams and we'll just kind of go through what we've got so far. Okay, doke, let's start with the national team. So as you can see, they've appointed Roberto Civoli as the manager. Having a quick look at the squad. A couple of good players, according to obviously what the assistant manager thinks compared to the team, the rest of the team there. Key players will be Filippo Fabri, Nicola Nani, Edoardo Colombo, Filippo Berardi, Elia Benedettini. The two youth prospects are Tommaso Benvenuti and his brother, who is also at Sassuolo, I believe. Let me find them. Let me see if I can find them. Where are they, Chase? There is another one. Yeah, Giacomo. So that's the kind of two youth prospects. About as best as we're going to get, to be honest. Pietro Amici, he's actually decent in this. I think he's had a buff since the last update, because he wasn't. Don't remember him being that good the last time I used the database. Not consistent enough for a goalkeeper, which is a bugbear of mine, so I don't know if we'll actually use him long term. We might kind of rely on Edoardo Colombo because he's kind of young, quite consistent. You'll maybe get a good 10 years out of him, which is good. So hopefully by that point we'll have some youth goalkeepers through the ranks. We've got Lorenzo Lazzari, who's good for a kind of bit of promise. He's shown a bit of promise as well. He's at Victor San Marino at the moment. Not entirely sure if we're going to keep him on because he might not be good enough. If we're going to try and sign him for San Marino Academy, we've literally got 1 year to do it. To convince him to join. Once we've signed them for San Marino Academy, we can keep players when they're over 22. You just can't sign anybody until if they're over 22. So yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do with tactical wise. We probably will gut this whole national team, and then I'll look at obviously putting a tactic in, seeing who I can pull up who's not actually in the team already. There is a couple of other youth prospects in there that could get good. Simone Santi's not great, kind of young though. I've never really seen him develop very well in this, so he's random. His potential ability must be quite random in this. So if we can get him at San Marino Academy, we can give him first team games, see how he progresses. It's going to be one of those ones. It's probably still good for this level of the team though. National pool probably looks kind of decent. Let's have a quick look. Pretty much Lies Hoel, yeah. I don't know how I've probably butchered that, to be honest, but he's good, consistent goal. Well, he's not a consistent goalkeeper, sorry. I should have meant to say promising goalkeeper. Only 17, so he could get a lot better. He might. I'm not really entirely sure if I've ever seen players develop consistency when they've been inconsistent. I just tend not to sign inconsistent players. I don't when I can avoid it, because I'm not a fan of it. There are a couple of young guys. Another 17-year-old. Probably not great, but yeah, inconsistent again. But that's what we're kind of going to deal with at the start. Hopefully not too many seasons in before we start bringing in some of our good youth players, but we'll wait and see. So we'll just swap over to the San Marino Academy. They're wanting us to try and sign San Marino's players. That's a requirement. So we're going to have to sign a good few of them in order for the board not to get pretty pissed off with that. Developing players of the club's youth system. I think we have the best youth system in the nation at the minute. Let me just have a quick check on facilities. So we're below average youth facilities, which isn't terrible considering the league quality. If you do look at the profile, Massimo Bonini is a legend of the club. We'll add him to... Right, I've moved him to the assistant manager. That's what I did, yeah. I remember doing that. That was the only change I made to the database, was I added him. I wasn't sure that it saved actually when I done it, but I've added him as assistant manager because I couldn't have him as the manager while we were managing the club. So I popped him in there. He's only got a 2-year contract, 3-year contract in there. from experience, he normally retires after a season or two anyway. So there's no real bonus except from he's a decent assistant manager. But we're all about the narrative, you know. We want to go for a good narrative here. Staff are pretty poor. We're going to have to redo, as you can see, I've just loaded up this save. We're going to have to redo everything, I think. I've got 2 assistant managers because I've obviously moved him in, so I'll get rid of the other one and we'll go from there. Squad-wise, not a massive squad, to be honest. What I did notice, and this seems to be the only team this has affected in this database, is we've got quite a lot of players on actual wages, which none of the other teams do. I'm not really, do you know what, it adds just an extra challenge for us, so I'm not actually put off by doing that. I did think, is it kind of going to be worth it, or do we just kind of go with, like, do we just try and pick an easier team and stuff? But I was like, do you know what, we're just going to go with it. If you look at the development centre, they have got an under-20s and an under-18s team. All those guys are on contracts. We'll probably gut them and receive the wages that way, and then spend that on bringing players into the first team, because that is what we will need to improve on, I think. It's just the whole size of columns. So yeah, let's have a wee look. The club vision is developing players under using the youth system. Don't sign players over the age of 28. We can't actually sign any players over 22 anyway. You can only sign players that are under 22. Sign San Marino's players, so that'd be easy enough. Is maintain the best youth academy in the country, which easy enough to do. I don't think anybody else have the money. As long as we get into Europe, I reckon if you look at the way that the league is, we are the season preview. We're kind of not expected to be doing much at all, so we've got a lot of work to do. It's only, I think, the top, I can't remember exactly what teams qualify. Let's just quickly check the rules. There has to be one San Marino's player in your actual 11 at all times. I'm trying to recall what teams go to the playoff first round. See if it's on here anywhere. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but I'm pretty sure it's quite soft in the sense of the top team go straight into Europe anyway. They don't play in the playoffs at the end of the season, and then I think it's like 12 to 14 or something like that who go through a playoff, and then the winner of the playoff and the runner-up go through to Europe, unless the cup winners are a different team and haven't already qualified. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do on this one, squad-wise, staff-wise as well. We'll switch over to Victor San Marino and we'll see what kind of state they're in as well. Sign players based in San Marino, that'll be a tough one because they're not really good enough to play in the Serie D or higher leagues really, except from the guys who won't be interested in signing, who is pretty much going to be Filippo Fabri, Eduardo Colombo. They're already in these kind of leagues, so we can try and sign them as we go, but going by experience, it's been quite difficult to do that. You can maybe get the odd one depending on how their career works out, but it's not always a guarantee. We want to grow the club's reputation, that's standard, work within the wage budget, reach the playoffs by the current season. I think the squad, this is an up-to-date database, so they have made a few signings this summer, who should be on here. So we're expected to finish 8th, which isn't too bad, to be honest. If we make a couple of signings, that could push us up into maybe the top 5 or 6. And I'm fairly certain it is, this is doing my head in the skin, top 5 to get playoffs, so it's probably doable. Having a look at the squad, ability-wise, Simone Passa, that's a new signing, he's pretty good for this level. We've got Ciro De Angelis, decent for this level as well, just a poacher. We've got a wide player as well, which is quite handy. Another defensive midfielder, actually stacked with defensive midfielders. Adamo Haruna and Simone Buffa are also defensive midfielders. Simone Loza can be a backup striker, which is good, and the rest of the guys pretty much, yeah, it's a decent squad. You know what? It's not the worst squad actually. A couple of signings here and there, we can actually be in a good place. The one thing that I do find challenging about playing at this level, I will show you here, is the rules for the league. So in your starting 11, needs to be 1 under 18 player, 3 players that are under 19, and 4 in total that are under 20. So pretty much you could have 4 under 18s, but you need to have at least 1. Or you can have 1 18, 3 19s, or 1 18. Yeah, pretty much 1 18, 3 19s would do you for your under 20s anyway. So looking at that squad again, there's not really anybody that's under 18 except from in the youths, and as far as I remember, the youth squad isn't actually up to much. Yeah, maybe that wing back actually. Not great for this level, but might kind of have to just use him, to be honest. Could play him up in the wing. Yeah, we might have to look at signing a few 18-year-old chaps. Again, nothing much in the reserves either. So yeah, bit of work to do there. Actually, the last time I played this database, I made the mistake of forgetting about the league rules and having to rush a few signings at the end of the window. Still managed to get promoted anyway, but yeah, it made it a bit more difficult because you sign players forgetting that you can't play them. And it just means you get a couple of unhappy players and etc, etc. So that's pretty much us covered everything. What I think I'll do is we'll come back for the start of the season, which will be the end of August. We're starting here in the middle of June. That gives me about 6 weeks to get some signings in. We'll cover the first games of the season. The San Marino season doesn't start until September anyway, and I'm fairly certain there actually might be a couple of European games. Crap. Right, okay, so do you know what? I think we'll skip the first 2 Euro qualifiers only because we're going to get beat anyway, let's be honest. We'll kind of just push through. We'll do the first episode doing the first game of the season for the San Marino team, or the first 2 games of the season. Or we'll cover the first game of the season, we'll cover the transfers that we've done, the staff that we've brought in and stuff like that as well. And we'll just recap how the San Marino fixtures went. We will cover the national team fixtures. I just don't want to jump in when the game's like 5 days into it. So we'll probably just kind of skip those 2 matches and we'll just focus on the later ones, which will be around about September time. So we might actually find if we're not recording for those ones, we'll just recap how the games went, and then if we get a big game or a game that we could have the potential to win, so I don't know if we arrange a friendly or we get the Nations League and we're playing like Malta or Liechtenstein or something like that, or Gibraltar or something, we've got a real chance of winning, we'll come back, we'll show the full game because we might get a good win out of it. So yeah, pretty much that's it. What I will do is we'll crack on with that, we'll come back and we'll do a recap for the first proper episode. I hope you're all going to enjoy this. I'm certainly going to enjoy playing through it. I like the added challenge of the under 22 players, which makes it that wee bit more difficult. So yeah, pretty much we'll go away, come back, and we'll do the first episode with the first couple of games and cover the transfers and stuff. So thanks very much for tuning in, folks. I really hope this takes off. It's quite a small channel, so quite happy with just a good steady number of views and just kind of continue to grow up from there. So thank you for tuning in. If you've watched anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.